So Savitri has entered into the inner countries. We have seen her entering into them. And now she comes out and sees something very, very beautiful. So you can continue, begin.
Then smiled again a large and tranquil air, blue heaven, green earth, partners of beauty's reign, lived as of old companions in happiness, and in the world's heart laughed the joy of life.
Oh,
All
you're reading so
now.
much better now. Hang on, there was a period there. A period
Yeah,
there.
I thought I'll stop after the next line, but I see that it's there is period after next two lines, so yes, I can
Yes,
stop.
yes.
Yeah.
So what is she experiencing? I don't, have we ever done beauty? I'm not sure that we've done beauty.
I think we very recently came across beauty, and so we did it like
Okay,
recently. I'll
okay,
just still check. Yes, we have done beauty.
very good. So she's in this tranquil air, and and it's large and tranquil air.
Hmm.
And so she sees blue heaven, green earth. This reminds me of the astronauts in space.
Hmm.
They see they see this blue heaven, this green earth, and they partners in this rain. And what else is happening? Well, they lived of old, as of old, companions in happiness.
Hmm.
And in the world's heart laughed the joy of life. So we don't have to explain any of it. It's very
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
So you continue on.
All now was still. The soil shone dry and pure. Through it all she moved not, plunged not in the vain waves.
Yeah, we need to
Ah,
do that a little bit better, those lines. Huh?
okay.
So, because we have to make someone feel that she's not moving.
Hmm.
Through it all, she moved not, plunged not in the vain waves.
Okay.
So we see that Savitri is very still also. All now is still.
Hmm.
Interesting that he says the soil shone dry.
Hmm.
So here it is definitely not monsoon time.
Yeah.
It's summer, it was spring.
Yeah.
So it shone dry and pure. And through it all, Savitri moved not. She's not plunged in the vain waves.
Hmm.
This waves of happiness and the world's heart laughing and the joy of life. Because
Hmm.
everything is now still and
Yeah.
she doesn't move. She's in it, but she's not moving in it. Okay, carry on.
I'll try that sentence again and then continue reading.
I
All
think that would,
now, all now was still. The soil
yes,
shone.
but why did you drop the word still? All now is still. See,
All
all now
now
is
was
still.
still.
Yes.
All now was still. The soil shone dry and pure. Through it all she moved not, plunged not in the vain waves. Out
So
of the vastness of the silent self, life's clamor fled. Her spirit was mute and free.
yes, here we get into something here. Let's first of all, I didn't hear the D on and.
And
Dry and pure.
dry
And
and pure.
and, and yeah, dry and pure. Yes. So that you can just touch that D with your tongue a little bit. And
And
and pure.
okay.
So she's now in the vastness of the silent self. And in this vastness, this clamor, this noise, uproar, uh, it's loud and persistent noise, this clamor of life. It fled. And there's a semicolon there. because her spirit now was mute and free. So this sort of ends that whole passage where
Yeah.
she sees life as her own, companions and happiness, the world's heart, everything still, the soil, the vain waves. And now we begin with the new section. Then journeying.
Then journeying forward through the self's wide hush, she came into a brilliant, ordered space. There life dwell there life dwelt, parked in an armed tranquillity. A chain was on her strong, insurgent heart.
Well, quite a bit to say here, actually, because first of all, he's telling us that she's journeying forward. She's exploring this world, you see,
Hmm.
uh, where she has to understand this. She's entering into this world, and she's going forward now through her own self's wide hush. So it's her spirit that is moving her forward. And then she comes into this brilliant space, but it's an ordered space. And that's very important. We've done space, I think, so we'll
I
carry on.
think so too, yes.
There's only one long quote of Sri Aurobindo.
Yes, we have done space.
So their life is dwelling, but it's actually parked. Parked means station
Yeah,
in an armed tranquility. Now that's an interesting word, an armed tranquility.
tranquility, yes.
What is this armed thing? Well, if one is armed, one is prepared.
Okay.
So it's a tranquility that has been well prepared
Hmm.
because she's journeying forth with this wide hush of herself, and she
Hmm.
comes in. So we see it's an ordered space, and it's also an armed tranquility. And then there's a semicolon
Yeah.
where we have to go further then. And then we see after that semicolon that a chain was on her strong insurgent heart. Well, if someone's an insurgent, someone is in revolt or rebellion.
Hmm.
Insurgence is always that against government or civil authorities or whatever.
Yeah.
But even though her heart is strong and insurgent, there's still a chain on her. Interesting, huh? So
Hmm.
she's moving forward, but she's not moving forward very much
Yeah.
because the chain was on her. So now continue on. Tamed,
Tamed to the modesty of a measured pace, she kept no more her vehement stride and rush.
yeah, vehement, vehement striving,
Vehement. Vehement.
vehement. I don't
We
think you pronounce the
vehement.
H. Vehement.
Vehement.
Yes, the H
Okay.
is not. H is silent.
Okay. Vehement.
Yes.
She had lost the careless majesty of her muse, and the ample grandeur of her regal force. Curved were her mighty palms, her splendid waist, sobered the reveals of her
Bacchant.
bacchant,
Bacchant.
sobered the reveals of her bacchant play. Cut down were her squanderings in desire's bazaar, coerced, how do I say that?
Coerced.
Coerced,
Coerced.
coerced her despot will, her fancies dance, a cold stolidity bound the riot of sense.
Now, Sri Aurobindo is talking here about life.
Hmm.
This is about life.
Okay.
And here now he's going to tell us that she had lost, well, first of all, the vehemence drive. We have to talk about that. So life here is tamed to the modesty of a measured pace. And
Hmm.
notice how often he's told us this. He said, first of all, it was an ordered space.
Hmm.
Then it was an armed tranquility. And now he tells us that it's a measured pace.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because life no longer has kept her vehement stride and rush. The careless majesty of her muse. Muse here is inspiration.
Okay.
The muse always inspires us, whether it's a muse of music or a muse of poetry, a
Mm-hmm.
muse of architecture. But she has lost the majesty of this muse.
Hmm.
And not only that, but she has lost the ample grandeur of her regal force. So ample is more than enough.
Hmm.
Grandeur, greatness of her regal, royal force.
Hmm.
So, and curved were her mighty pomps. Well, the word pomps is a very British word,
Okay.
and it means a dignified or magnificent display, splendor.
It's is it different from pompous? It is, right?
Very different from pompous.
Very different from pompous.
Very.
Yeah.
There's a piece written by Elgar that's famous in Britain, and it's called Pomp, Pomp and Circumstance. Pomps and Circumstance. So the pomps are splendor or even ostentatious display they can be, or vain display. But here it's more figurative, like a pageant
Okay.
or a procession. So curbed were those mighty displays, magnificent displays, and life's splendid waste. And then we have this other word. So many things Sri Aurobindo brings in here.
Yeah.
Sobered, sobered. Well, when something is sobered, uh, it no longer has that rush. Huh?
Yeah.
When people have wine and they get drunk, they have to become sober.
Yeah.
And when they become sober, then they're themselves again. So
Hmm.
we have sobered the revels. A revel is a joyous rioting
Mm-hmm.
of her bacchant play. Now,
Bacchant.
bacchant here, yeah, bacchant, this refers to Bacchus, the god of wine.
Okay.
And usually it's in a negative sense, like a drunken reveler.
Okay.
But here it's these revels of this bacchant play are sobered. They're quieted down. It, when we take it a little bit slowly, we really get to understand it better.
Hmm.
And we're seeing that the majesty of her muse was lost, the grandeur of her regal force was lost, the mighty pomps were curbed, the splendid waist was curbed, and even the bacchant play has become, the revels of this play have become sober.
Hmm.
Now, the next line is cut down were her squanderings in desire's bazaar. Wow. Um, Squanderings are marked by extravagance,
Okay.
extravagant expenditure. So these squanderings that used to be so wild in terms of desire
Hmm.
are now cut down. And not only cut down, but coerced. Coerced is compelled or restrained by force,
Hmm.
dominated. So coerced, her despot will. A despot is a tyrant or an oppressor or a king or a ruler. Anyone with unlimited power is a despot. So we go back again a little bit. We see that there's mighty pomps, there's regal force, there's majesty of a muse, there's bacchant play, there's squanderings of desire, and lastly, her fancy's dance is even coerced, compelled, or restrained, and therefore a cold stolidity bound the riot of sense. Stolidity is something that is impassive, reveals very little emotion.
Okay.
He said he's a very stolid kind of guy. Stolid.
So, like, how do I write it? Stolidity is more like
Impassiveness.
impassive. Okay.
Yeah, and not easily stirred.
Okay, understood.
Good. This is a difficult section, but we got through it, and there's still more to go. So, carry on.
A royalty without freedom was her lot. The sovereign throned obeyed her ministers. Her servants' mind and sense governed her house. Her spirits bound, they cast in rigid lines, and guarding with a phalanx of armored rules, the reason's balanced reign kept order and peace.
So, in this plane where Savitri is now, she is seeing all of this.
Okay.
She is seeing initially this this blue heaven and this green earth and this large and tranquil air, and she's seeing that the world's heart is laughing with the joy of life. But then she begins to see that something is different here. And she sees that when she comes into this ordered space, she begins to see that life, and this is all about life now, life is dwelling fixed, parked in an armed tranquility. And what else is happening to life? Well, there's a chain on her heart. And because life wants to move forward with tremendous strength. But in this plane of existence, she's not allowed to because there's a chain on her.
Okay.
And she's even tamed, like you tame an animal, to the modesty of a measured pace, even, slow, everything. And then he tells us that she's not able to keep anymore her impassioned, her zealous stride and rush. Life has lost the careless majesty of her muse. She's lost the ample grandeur of her regal force. Even her mighty pomps are curbed. When you curb something, you limit it like that.
Yeah.
You say, curb your mouth. Her splendid waist, and even the revels of her bacchant play are sober, as well as the squanderings of her desire in desire's bazaar. And her desperate will is coerced, her fancies dance, the cold stolidity bound this riot of sense of life. Now, yes, there's a royalty here, but it's without freedom. And the sovereign who's in charge here, who is throned, who is seated as on a throne, is obeying her ministers. And even her servant's mind and sense governs her own house, life's house.
Yeah.
And life's spirits, the bounds of life's spirit they cast in rigid lines. So again, we have this, we have all of this he's telling us. We go through it once again. Her
Yeah.
muse,
So here, did
the
he
muse.
mean?
Mhm.
Sorry,
Sorry.
you were saying?
Well, we have to keep going back. You see, and we have to
Yeah.
see that life no more has this vehemence, this passionate stride and rush.
Hmm.
She's lost this majesty of her muse.
Yeah.
She's lost the ample grandeur of her regal force. The mighty pomps are curbed, the revels are sobered, the squanderings are cut down, her despot will is coerced, and this cold stolidity, this being not easily stirred or moved, has bound this riot of sense of life. So there is a royalty. She has a royalty in this
Yeah.
plane, but it's a royalty without freedom,
Hmm.
was her lot. We say our lot is cast sometimes, cast in bronze or cast in gold.
Hmm.
The sovereign who is on a throne obeyed her ministers.
Hmm.
And yet, also, her servant's mind and sense governs her house,
House. Yeah.
her territory.
Yeah.
And the bounds of her spirit, they cast. To cast something, to cast something in bronze, you
Yeah. I
fixed
understand.
it in
Yeah.
rigid
It's
lines
rigid lines.
and guarding with a phalanx
What
of
is a
armored.
phalanx?
Phalanx is an ancient military formation.
Okay.
When all the soldiers are lined up in ranks, and it can also be a crowded mass of people who are united for a common purpose.
Okay.
So you might have a phalanx lined up in the streets against some order
Hmm.
by the king or the ruler.
Okay.
So guarding with a phalanx, but here it's a phalanx of armored rules. And remember, we just had that word armored before.
Yeah.
So we have these armored rules, and therefore we have the balanced reign of reason who is keeping order and peace.
Yes. So here is he talking about like how human mind is
Oh, he's talking
not
about life here in this plane, not the mind.
okay, not the mind. So
Purely
that
about,
how life is actually like he's also bringing here her servant's mind and sense governed her house. So in some sense, is it about how life is somewhere taking charge through like it is life has become a servant to the mind and the senses and our five senses, like how Krishna talks about the indriyas.
yes, yes, it is correct. And
Okay.
so everything here we have to see that it's all constricted. It's ordered, it's constricted, it's cast in rigid lines,
Mm.
and therefore this reason's balance reign with these armored rules
Yeah.
has kept order and peace.
Yes. Okay.
So you like to read from the beginning? We got a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
minutes left.
I think
Very
that's a good idea. Yeah.
okay.
Then smiled again a large and tranquil air, blue heaven, green earth, partners of beauty's reign, lived as of old, companions in happiness,
Yes, but it's lived as of old,
lived
companions in
lived
happiness.
as of old, companions in happiness,
Good.
and in the world's heart laughed the joy of life. All now was still, the soil shone dry and pure. Through it all she moved not, plunged not in the vain waves. Out of the vastness of the silent self, life's clamor fled. Her spirit was mute and free. Then, journeying forward through the self's wide hush, she came into a brilliant, ordered space. There, life dwelt, parked in an armed tranquillity. A chain was on her strong, insurgent heart. Tamed to the modesty of a measured pace, she kept no more her vehement stride and rush. She had lost the careless majesty of her muse, and the ample grandeur of her regal force. Curved were her mighty palms, her splendid waist, sobered the revels of her bacchant play, bacchant play. Cut down were her squanderings in desire's bazaar. Coerced by her despot will, coerced her despot,
Despot.
despot, coerced her despot will, her fancies dance. A cold solidity bound the right of sense. A royalty without freedom was her lot. The sovereign throned obeyed her ministers. Her servants' mind and sense governed her house. Her spirit's bounds they cast in rigid lines, and guarding with a phalanx of armored rules, the reason's balanced reign kept order and peace.
Good. So we see that Savitri had come to this place, and the
Yes.
first part is about Savitri.
Yeah.
And then we find out what life is like on this plane of existence.
Hmm.
There, life dwelt parked in an armed tranquility.
Hmm.
But prior to that, it's all Savitri.
Yeah.
Comes into this brilliant, ordered space. I have to go. It's been a long day for me.
Yeah.